I'm Dr. Revels, and you're listening to the REVELSations podcast. Please subscribe, rate, and review wherever you get your podcasts, and let me know that you are listening. Share this with somebody and tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell an enemy that you are listening to the REVELSations podcast. And remember, we're all family and friends, so you can call me Rev. Before we get to the topic of today's verse, I want to do an experiment with you, something that I was taught a long time ago. So I want everybody to go, pause the video if you need to for a couple of seconds, and get a piece of paper. Like, what? Yep. Go get a piece of paper. Just get a piece of paper like I do. I have a piece of paper here. Piece of paper. I have a lined piece of paper. I took it out of a notebook, but you can see this paper. There's nothing on it. There's no writing on it. Just a piece of paper. And what we're going to do is we're going to ball this paper up. And when we ball the paper up, I want us to have a mental clock in our head with how fast we can ball this paper up. Just trust me on this one. Ready and go. So I got about 1 second and I was able to ball this paper up, probably even less than a second. All right. So after we do that, we look at our paper. It's balled up. Okay. It's still a piece of paper. It's fine. Let's count how long in our brains, how long it takes to unravel this piece of paper. Here we go. I counted about between 7 and 9 seconds. Maybe I count a little fast. And my paper, it's back being straight, but wow, wait a minute. I can see all of the scars from the balling of the paper. I can see the damage done from the initial crushing of the paper. And the paper doesn't seem as strong as it once was. It seemed like it wants to recoil back into the way I had it balled up. It doesn't seem as lively. It doesn't seem as good as it once was, but it's still a piece of paper. It's that same piece of paper. And though it has been made to be straight, it still has the scars. And that is the topic of today's verse, scar tissue. Scar tissue. Let's get to it. Dictionary definitions first, as we always do. Scar tissue is the fibrous connective tissues that form as the body's natural healing process after an injury, surgery, or inflammation. It replaces normal skin or other tissues that have been damaged. It replaces the damaged. The purpose is to repair and strengthen the area where the body was injured. It acts like a biological patch, closing wounds and preventing infections or further damage. However, scar tissue is usually less flexible and less functional than the original tissue it replaces. We mentioned the word fibrous. Fibrous just means characterized by fibers. Fibers are the things that make up our muscles. So, along with that, we're not just talking about the physical body, not really talking about the physical body at all, talking about the emotional trauma and how we have scar tissue from emotional trauma. So, trauma means severe or lasting emotional shock and pain caused by an extremely upsetting experience. Severe and lasting emotional shock and pain caused by an extremely upsetting experience. Let's get to it. When I was younger, I was like most people, I only thought about myself and not in a self awareness way of being. Like I think we should be self aware, but in the self absorbed thing where if I saw something and something happened to someone and they were less fortunate, I might laugh or I might say, "Oh, that's on them and that's on me. That has nothing to do with me and what I'm going through." And or if somebody did something to me, I might say something mean or I might say something nasty. And my mother set me down and she did the paper experiment with me. And she told me to ball up the piece of paper and to straighten the piece of paper. And she said, even after the piece of paper has been straightened, you could still see the remnants or the scar tissue from the paper. And I'm like, what do you mean? She's like, that thing that you said to that person hurt them, or that thing that happened to that person hurt them. And even though they are upright and they're walking again, they still have scar tissue and they're never actually the same. There are still remnants of the pain in their life. And that's what we want to talk about today. So we deal with people all the time. We interact with people all the time. We interact with people even virtually. There's somebody on the other end of the computer screen oftentimes. Of course, we have AI, but AI is only a conglomeration of people who have written for AI, and AI is able to spit out the answer. So we're interacting with people. And when we're interacting with people, I think we need to be conscious or aware that we're interacting with people who more than likely have scars and have scar tissue, people that have been through something. And we need to have empathy. Empathy is characterized as the ability to understand and share feelings for and of another person. The ability to understand and share feelings for and about another person. So I feel, I understand what you're going through, and I have empathy for you with that. It's not just that happened to you, oh well. It is that happened to you, and not that I feel sorry because it is not my fault. I do not feel sorry, but I feel pain because you feel pain. I see another human being hurting, and I don't want us to hurt. When they hurt, I hurt because we're all part of this team. So the reason I wanted to talk about scar tissue is because we deal with people on a day-to-day basis. And when we're dealing with them, we need to think not only about the traumas that we've been through, but the traumas that other people have been through. And everybody's been through trauma. Some traumas might be worse than others. But have you ever compared scars? Have you ever had a scar and you're hurting, or you have a headache, or there's something wrong, and you tell somebody how much pain you're in and they say, "Oh, that's nothing. Look at this. I had this." Well, you might have had that, but what I'm going through hurts as well. And you're not showing me empathy. And how does that make us feel? It doesn't make us necessarily feel good. So think about it. When we're going through life and we're dealing with people and they are hurting, and we say, "Oh, well, get over it." Oh, or they look functional. They still look like a piece of paper that is straight. Pay a little bit more attention. Can you see the scars that they've gone through? And when you have the paper or the person and you try to write on the paper with all the scars, the writing's going to be a little bit more bumpy. It's not going to be as neat. It's not going to be as clean. It'll still look like a piece of paper, but sometimes it's not going to present as well. It doesn't mean that it's not useful, but it does mean that it's not in its original tint, the original intent. It's not how it was supposed to be, but instead, the world has scarred it, and it's just trying to live its life the best it can, considering the scars. And even though it is straight, it can never forget the scars of the wounds that have happened to it. So the same thing with us. It's not just looking at another person, it's looking at ourselves. Do we have scar tissue? I believe we absolutely do. We want people to be empathetic toward our scars, but how often are we empathetic toward somebody else's scars? We might say that I think this way about marriage because I saw my parents go through a terrible divorce, and now I have the scar tissue from that happening, or I was divorced, or I was abused, or I was cheated on, or whatever. And I am now a little bit more wounded in the world. And I need people to be empathetic toward me, but I'm probably not going to be empathetic toward them because I am wounded, because I am scarred. And when I am wounded and I am scarred, I'm a little less flexible and a little less functional. But we don't necessarily have to be if we can share and have empathy for one another. Or I might have witnessed one of my relatives dying, or I might have lost both of my parents in a short amount of time, or I might lost a son or a daughter. And now I'm a little more hardened. Now I don't have a little pep in my step. I don't necessarily have a smile on my face. And people would say, "Oh, this person is too serious or they're too mean." But I ask, are you being empathetic toward their situation? And even if you don't know their situation, you know that they have scars because we all do. You know the world has crushed them at some point because the world crushes us all. On one day, we're on top of the world, and the next day, the world is on top of us. It's happened to us all. And even though the world doesn't stop and the world doesn't wait on any of us, the world might be a better place if we had a little bit more empathy and a little bit more patience for the person who is living through their scar tissue and the person with scar tissue at the same time. We have to be empathetic for the people that are dealing with us. How hard is it to deal with us? How hard is it to deal with our scars? How hard is it for somebody to write on the tablet of our heart if we're always going to be people who are scorned and scarred and less flexible and less functional than we were before? All I'm asking us to do is have empathy for one another and to work on ourselves to make ourselves as straight as we can be, considering all the damage that have happened. And yes, some people's damage is worse than another. But if we're still on this side of glory, if we're still on this side of eternity, we still have a place, we still have a function, we still have a purpose. And I'm just asking us to be empathetic toward people when we're dealing with their scars, because we would like for them to be empathetic with us when we're dealing with our scars. That's all I have for you today on the REVELSations podcast. Thank you again for listening. Please subscribe, rate, review, wherever you get your podcast. Tell a friend to tell a friend to tell a friend to tell an enemy that you are listening to the REVELSations podcast. Contact the show directly at the REVELSations at gmail.com. I am because we are. Hallelujah, holla back. Peace.
Yeah, the revelations now televised. A platform for you and I, an outlook with full heart and clear eyes. Now, these are just my thoughts. Truth on how I feel on these topics I reveal. Please know my toll, I always keep it real. Can't face the word if you can't face facts. For your time, just open up your mind. That's it, just live, think big, now take that. With God in me, this here was made by design. Yeah, the revelation will be televised. REVELSations.